Hello and welcome to the HP Podcast, your weekly show about video games where my microphone stand gives out during the intro and I have to catch it anyway. I'm Ben, and with me here today is Dave. Hello, Dave. How are you?
I'm good. I think I'm fully recovered from last week's After Dark episode.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I'm doing okay.
You
How are
do
you guys?
okay. Not the contents, which we won't talk about here, but the contents of the After Dark episode, but the actual episode itself.
Yeah, those things are exhausting,
Yeah.
like emotionally, physically. I usually schedule a therapy appointment right after those episodes,
Yeah.
just, for maintenance.
Uh-huh.
So it
Got it.
doesn't help,
Yeah.
but it's something.
Well, we'll talk more about that in a second after we introduce the most glorious ginger, Brandon Duncan, drinking a new haze by Southern Tier. Not sponsored, but I love Southern Tier. I've gone there. I've brewed there. Great
Lovely.
place. Great
Yeah.
beer.
It's good shit, man.
How you doing, buddy?
Doing good. Gotta numb the pain somehow.
Yeah.
I'm here and I'm ready to podcast, boys. Yeah, I just took a shower. I moisturized. Sometimes you just gotta take care of yourself, boys.
Yeah.
Maybe it's me as Brandon, or maybe it's me as a man. I don't really know. I can't speak for all men, but
Mhm.
sometimes I tend to use a 10-in-1 shampoo that's like motor oil
Yeah.
and like degreaser and like all of this other shit in one, and conditioner
Mhm.
and
Mhm.
ball scrubbing juice.
Yeah.
But yeah, a nice change of pace. Every once in a while, you really gotta dig deep and take care of the one yourself. So
Now, in my entire life, I don't think I've ever moisturized.
you're fucking up. You're fucking
Now,
up.
I've used like hand lotion before. Does that count?
Technically,
Uh,
yeah.
That is one way of moisturizing.
I used to get
Um,
really, really terrible dry hands, and my knuckles would crack and be like an inch deep, and just look absolutely. They hurt, but they look terrible too.
yeah.
And so I'd use lotion then sometimes, but then I accidentally one time got some kind with like some scent in it,
Oh,
and it just burned the hell out of my hands.
Yeah.
And also I smelled like a flower, so I didn't use it anymore after that. And yeah, that's unless like a shampoo or a soap has had some moisturizing properties. I've used beard oil.
sure,
Other than that, no, I've never like intentionally. I use the 10-in-1 motor oil. That's how a
sure.
man showers, right?
Beard oil counts.
Okay.
That's definitely moisturizing your skin for sure. But I did the 9 yards. I did the
Mm,
face lotion as well. Not just any lotion, face lotion specifically, because there is
mm.
a difference, boys.
I think
Um,
as white people, we age like leather, like milk.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
And if we just moisturized a little bit more, fellas, then we wouldn't be as ashy as we grew older.
that's
Yeah.
true. That is true.
That's wise words, honestly. We could put that in a tweet or something. Send it out with a clip, maybe. I have a very uh my grandfather and my father are both very oily. Well, my grandfather's dead, so he's not very oily anymore. But when he was alive, he was a very oily man, and I've inherited some of that. But I also have the I don't want to brag or anything, but I'm 1/16th Cherokee.
Oh my goodness,
So I got some of that blood in me too. There,
Jesus!
yeah. My mom was
Pull up,
always like, "That's why you get so tan because of the Native American." I'm like, I don't think so, mom. Like
pull
you're
up,
very white, and
dude.
I'm pretty white myself. But
Pull up the mouth swab data. I wanna verify this.
yeah,
This
we'll do it
DNA shit.
sometime. I would love to do one of those. Have you guys ever done those? The DNA tests?
Dude, I don't want BlackRock knowing my DNA information. Sorry.
They already do.
Something weird about sending samples in the mail. It's
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
I'll
speaking of
send other
sending,
kind of samples.
yeah.
Yeah.
Speaking of sending samples in the mail, Dave had a very touching subject, no pun intended, on this past HP After Dark. It's a show we do every now and then where we just talk about nothing and also whatever we want. Really interesting one this past week that we put out for $3 and up patrons. It'll be live for everybody in a month or so. But if you're interested in that or just in helping support the boys, we would appreciate it if you went over to patreon.com/handsofandom, signed up for as little as $1 a month. We appreciate your help there. Dave's the star of that show, honestly. Just revealed some deep, dark secrets. Like he said before, he got that therapy session set up for literally right after the show, just to make sure. And our buddy Dustin usually joins us for those as well. He did on this last one, so you can check that out. Also, if you want to hang out with us, you can go over to Discord handsomephantom.com/Discord and chill with the homies. I almost said with the boys, but there's other people there too.
Sure.
It doesn't have to be boys.
Yeah.
It's not just boys. Is that copium? Am I like trying to tell myself it's not just a sausage party?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
Well, dude, and I have to acknowledge the slander in chat real quick.
Yeah.
Dustin just taking me 2 steps back with the self-care routine. One thing he's flaming me in the chat. Yes, I am like a chronic hand washer, and I feel like of all the things that I could possibly do that are not good for my body, that might be like the lowest on my priority list. So I'm going to take the wins when I can get them.
Yeah.
And
But just to put this in the context for the audience, what Dustin said in chat was Brandon's hands looked like they were in a paper shredder because of all the hand washing and hand sanitizer. Now, Brandon, we've talked about this before. You and I at least both have some light form of OCD, but mine mostly plagues like the way I order things, the way I do work, yours mostly plagues like you got to lock doors, you got to wash your hands 9,000 times, etc.
Right.
So yeah, I pretty much when we go somewhere, or like you were over at my house one time and my wife was like, "Where'd he go?" I'm like, "I don't know where he went, but I guarantee he's washing his hands."
Dude,
like and you were.
Dude, it's a thing. Who knows? I might have a bit of the tism. I don't really know.
I don't think it's tism. I think it's OCD. Yeah.
But
and I'm familiar with it myself.
Sometimes I have to even wash my hands if they just don't feel right. Like maybe they aren't dirty, but they just don't feel right.
That's the tism.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying is the whole sensory thing. But it could be worse. Could be raining.
Yeah. My sister is a special needs teacher, or was a special needs teacher. She does other stuff administratively now, but she used to tell me, she's like, "You're autistic, Ben," and I was like, maybe. I don't know.
Not a doctor, damn it.
I wouldn't be upset if I was, because I've been fine. But
right.
But at the same time, I'm like, I don't think my sister's allowed to say that to me. Even
well,
if she is
your
a
sister's
professional.
Definitely allowed to say that about you. Maybe not professionally, but she's definitely allowed to say that about you for sure. Your sister, for sure, and me.
That's fine. That's fine. Benji Bop in chat says, "I never moisturized when I lived in Florida because it was so humid. I can't go a day without moisturizing now that I live out west. 2024 is the year of the skincare routine, fellas."
This is a great idea.
Dave, I don't know if it is.
Dude, it's a great idea. And Benji brings up a good point, is living in the West would provide different problems than living in the East. Mine gets way worse in the winter because of the cold. Out there in the West, it's just no humidity. So it's like a different kind of dry. Different reasons, same problem.
Here in Western Pennsylvania, pretty much at any point in the year, I feel badly. Like
same.
Certain times of the year, I feel congested. Other times of the year, I feel like I have more of a headache. Other times of the year, I have allergies. But if I literally go anywhere else, I can even drive like to where some of my family lives over near Cincinnati, and I feel a little bit better. If I go to Florida or I go to California or anywhere else in the entire world that I've ever been, I feel better than I do here, just north of Pittsburgh. What do you think that says, Dave?
Why don't you leave?
Ragweed.
I don't know. The only thing holding me here is my family, and pretty much all of my family has jobs where they could work from anywhere, so they could all go somewhere too.
Just leave
but
your
like,
family.
I work from home. I don't know.
Are you telling us something? Live on air. He's like, guys, I'm moving to Alaska.
I think if I were going to move somewhere, it wouldn't be Alaska. But
yeah, I don't know. I'm sure it's very nice there.
The problem is all the nice places to live cost too much, and all the places I can afford suck. So I'm just living here for now.
You're stuck with us.
And now I'm going to die here.
Stuck
earlier than I would die if I were anywhere else.
You never
almost
know,
a guarantee. It's really almost a guarantee.
You never know.
This is a show about video games most of the time. Actually, that's not true. Some of the time. And I figured we'd talk about a little bit of news here today. Number one, this one's been all over the Twitter this week. Number one, rumors suggest the Xbox might explore third-party development with potential ports of first-party titles like Hi-Fi Rush, Starfield, and even Sea of Thieves on PS5 and Nintendo Switch 2. Now, we don't know what's called Nintendo Switch 2. These are also just rumors. I'm just reporting the tweets, okay? Insiders claim that while Microsoft is considering releasing some Xbox back catalog titles on other platforms, while Xbox head Phil Spencer stated no plans to bring Game Pass to PlayStation or Nintendo, recent speculations hint at a shift in Microsoft's gaming strategy, especially after the acquisition of Activision Blizzard. Marvel's Blade. I can't speak. I can't read my own writing. Marvel's Blade's uncertain exclusivity status for Xbox adds fuel to these speculations. Now, I don't know if you guys saw much of this week, but there's a lot of insiders running around talking about how Microsoft may bring certain games to other platforms. The biggest ones are that have been circulating are not Starfield, Hi-Fi Rush, and Sea of Thieves. Some of the usual suspects are out there. Stirring up trouble one way or another. Look, they're so bad that they have to bring them to other platforms. Oh no, everybody else is going to break in. Microsoft doesn't care about. I don't know what's true, what's not. But I figured it's here. We got to talk about it. Let's talk about this in a speculative kind of way. Dave, what do you think about Microsoft bringing some of their games or their service, Game Pass, to other platforms?
Yeah, I'm wondering how much of this is Microsoft potentially following Sony's lead and taking it a step further to some extent. It appears to be working well for Sony, and what I mean by that is, having big first-party titles sort of be exclusive to Sony hardware for some period of time, and then making its way over to PC after that. So, we've talked about this before on the show, how this is probably a fairly low risk investment. It probably doesn't cost a whole lot of money to port this kind of stuff. So, if it's working for your competitors, then why not? And it's interesting to see that based on this report, Microsoft actually might take it a step further because, with Sony, we know they're taking their first party exclusives and putting them on PC, but they're not going as far as putting them on Nintendo hardware and Microsoft's hardware. Whereas, based on this report, that could be the case. You could play Hi-Fi Rush on Switch 2 or something like that. And that's really weird to think about, but I think it's probably a smart move potentially for Microsoft, just because it feels like there's really good software that's dying out on poorly adopted hardware. And as we all know, these hardware makers make their hardware so that, you buy their software, which is where they really make the money. So, it's been 3 or 4 generations now of Xbox, and apart from the 360, the install base is always paled in comparison to, Nintendo and Sony's platforms. So considering all that Microsoft now owns from, a software developer point of view, it probably makes sense to at least explore this possibility. There's another couple things that kind of came to my mind when I saw this is, this could mean that maybe Game Pass is a little bit softer than we thought from a revenue generating standpoint. Or on the other hand, maybe Game Pass is performing so well that Microsoft can actually afford to kind of, spread their wings a little bit when it comes to what hardware their software is actually available on. So, I think I'd like to see this because there's a lot of really, really good games on Xbox, and I think a lot of people are probably missing out on it, and it kind of kills the console bros a little bit, the wars and all that stuff. So we'll see where this goes, but I think everybody should play Hi-Fi Rush, as you guys know. So
yeah, I think the people who talk about it should actually play it. Yeah. Personally, that's my opinion on it. But Brandon, how do you feel about the potential of some Xbox first-party games coming over to other platforms?
No, I think this is great. If we're to believe these rumors, I think it's a very consumer-friendly thing for Xbox to do, and it would ultimately benefit them in every single way perceivable. You might not get the conversion this generation, but whenever you entice people on other platforms to play games that maybe only next generation are going to be exclusive to your ecosystem, you kind of are like double dipping here. You know what I mean? There were already some rumors of, Game Pass trying to go on Switch. Didn't we even see something about them talking about that in all those leaks, something like that, like saying this would be a really cool thing? So honestly,
and PlayStation for that matter.
I feel like these rumors are pretty viable. We see rumors come and go all the time, but I think that there really is no downside to Xbox doing this. And they've made it very clear that they want everybody to be able to play everywhere. And they've stood by that time and time again. Every single first party exclusive gets on everything. And I'm not saying that that's going to transfer 1-to-1 with Switch and PS5, but what I am saying is that they've made it
when you say everything, you mean PC and Xbox, right?
correct. I'm not saying that necessarily
Cloud.
would correct. I'm not saying that necessarily would carry over to Switch and PS5. In fact, I don't think they should do that for the benefit of their ecosystem. But some of this old stuff, they brought up a great point. I mean, these are older games. What would they do other than gain traction for the titles that are already out there, reinvigorate the communities, and kind of get people looking forward to the next iteration? Like I said, you might not be able to sell them on your console right now, but you can maybe sell them on it later, or you can get another Game Pass sub. It's just opening the market to many more people being able to buy into your brand, even if they don't have the hardware.
Yeah.
So really, I just think this would be a win for Xbox. I don't know how much it would benefit Sony or Nintendo, like directly. I feel like it would add value to the console itself. But Dave also brought up another point, is that a lot of the money is made through software. So I feel like this play would ultimately benefit Xbox significantly more as a company than it would the other two. But ultimately, what I care about most is not these companies benefiting. I care about the consumer more as a consumer. And I say that this is a great thing. I don't think there's any losing as far as this goes. And the people that are naysaying this sort of thing, Dave once again hit it on the head. It's just console war bullshit. And, you know, as someone who plays on PC now too, it's like, this is inconceivable. This whole argument, and we've said it forever now about the whole console wars stuff, but it's old hat, and it's just a reason to fight on the internet. And through and through, I think this would be good for everybody, mostly Xbox. So
yeah, you mentioned you weren't really sure what it would benefit for Sony or Nintendo, and I think the thing it would benefit them is 30% of every sale of those games or transaction, microtransaction, whatever, within any games on their platform, they're going to get if they don't make them. So if they make the game, they're getting 100% if you buy it digitally, and if you buy it, if you buy somebody else's game, Sony still gets 30%. So that brings the question, though. I wonder if there's a scenario where Sony says that they see Microsoft as a big enough competitor. They clearly have beef with them, that they're like, no, you can't put your games on our consoles. Like, is there I don't know, is that then like a monopoly kind of situation? Or no, monopoly isn't the right word. I don't know. But like, I wonder if that's a possible scenario.
I mean, of the two companies that I feel like would be open to this sort of parlay, I think that Nintendo would probably be more open. And even in my mind, thinking about it, I'm like, they don't really need it.
No.
Like, they don't need it at all. But I know that money speaks. And when you put it that way, Ben, you're absolutely right. Like, I could see Nintendo over Sony doing this, because I really feel like we've said it before, not that the Switch isn't in the same race as the other two, but it's kind of carved its own path in a lot of ways, and kind of stands outside of the other two companies. So, yeah, that's a good point. I don't know. It would be a little bit weird, but I would hope that at some point in the future we could really put all of this to rest. And not to say that there shouldn't be exclusives. That's like another discussion altogether. But that someday, if you've waited long enough, you could really play anything anywhere, just like you can on PC. I think that we'll have this battle as long as there's consoles, to an extent with new games. But maybe, we can supersede this once we've kind of gotten closer and closer to kind of the PC ecosystem as far as consoles are concerned.
The really funny thing to me is specifically the Xbots, of which I sometimes claim to be one, are reacting and saying that, like, oh, those are our games, you can't put them on other platforms. It's the same thing that Sony fans, PlayStation fans do when they put games on, the really hardcore PlayStation fans when they put games on PC. They're like, they don't deserve it. Those are our games. Why did I even buy a PlayStation? I understand the sentiment to some extent, but I've never been upset that somebody else got to play a game I really enjoyed. But it is funny to think about it in this way. Like, can you imagine a single person would be upset if Mario was on PlayStation or on Xbox or anywhere but Nintendo? Like, people would rejoice that Mario is here.
Dude, but what if Sonic was on PlayStation? I actually feel like
Sonic
of all
is
the
on
fandoms,
PlayStation. Were you not aware of that fact?
I am so out of the ecosystem of Sonic, it might as well be a foreign language to me. So no, I was not aware that Sonic was on PlayStation.
I'm sorry to ruin your night.
Wow.
Yeah. I see you have to drink some beer right after I said
Yeah,
that.
I need a drink, dude. I can't. I'm selling my PlayStation. I'm getting rid of that shit. I'm
He's
out,
on
dude.
PC too, right?
He's
And
everywhere.
Xbox.
I'm
He's
killing
He's
myself.
literally
I'm
everywhere.
killing myself. All right, it's over, boys.
Brandon just ends it just like turns off his camera. Real Radic pops up and brings up a good point. He says the gamble is if enough PS players are enticed by those games to get a Game Pass sub on PC or Series X. I'd say, this is something that Microsoft wouldn't mind, but I think maybe Dave's right. Maybe they're not quite content with their numbers, but I think from all the signals they've given out publicly, at least, that they're happy with Game Pass. Really, like, it would just be another $60 minus or $70 minus 30% in their pockets, in my opinion. But yeah, I guess there is the potential that next generation, those people don't buy a PlayStation and they just go strictly Game Pass or Xbox. I don't see that as a super threat, but it's certainly a possibility. Excuse me. Sailor says, excuse me, I would wager Sea of Thieves is coming to other consoles. This is something a lot of people have asked me about just because they know I like the game. Sea of Thieves is in a rough state right now. And a lot of that server side, it's not, what the client can do necessarily, but I think it could happen because of some of the signals they've been giving out. And they also just introduced a new mode called Safer Seas where you can basically play in a server all by yourself or with a crew that's only on your ship. And there's some things you can't do, and there's some progression changes for that. But I think that if they were going to introduce it to an entire new console, a new entire demographic of gamers, that's a move you would make. Is almost 6 years into the game's life, being like, hey, there's this new mode, and now you can play it even if you don't want to play with other people. But I have a hard time thinking it would run on Switch, honestly. It barely runs on PC sometimes just because of the server performance. And if you've ever played Sea of Thieves, the water alone is insane. So I don't know. I certainly think the rumors most things where there's smoke, there's fire. This might have been discussed in the boardroom at one point. Whether it went anywhere else, I don't know. But it also wouldn't surprise me because they've been doing a lot of things lately to try to bring in new players, and it wouldn't surprise me to see it go elsewhere. I think it'd be awesome too to have a new influx of players, even though Sea of Thieves has a higher player count than like Halo Infinite, but I don't need to bring that up again. But the game definitely could use some new life in it for sure.
Oh man,
Halo Infinite, man, that's a game. Ed says Xbox is going to start pumping out a lot of single player games. I can see them sending their games over delayed with the hope that people buy in the Game Pass eventually to avoid the wait. I think that's true. I have a really hard time thinking that if I like the service on another console, that I would make the switch. If I were a hardcore PlayStation guy, that I would ever make the switch just to go for Game Pass. But I guess it's possible. The real question is, will Sony, even if Xbox wanted to, and maybe they do, but if Xbox wanted to, would Sony ever allow Game Pass on PlayStation? They'd make a lot of money, but would it be worth it to them to lose some of their first party sales? I don't know.
well, dude, like that specifically, that question exactly. How could they? Now that I'm thinking about it more, they have a service that is literally a direct competitor and got beefed up like specifically for the reasons of competing with Game Pass. I mean, that's not like an official statement. Like they're not just going to say we're trying to make premium better so that way, it has as much value as Game Pass, but like, putting a onesie twosie game out there now that we're talking more about this, putting games here and there seems more viable to me than them actually letting a direct competition service on their platform.
Mm-hmm.
Because Nintendo doesn't really have that. I mean, they have Nintendo Online, but I mean, if you think Nintendo Online is as good as Xbox Game Pass, or even I'll go out and say it, even as good as PlayStation Premium, you're wrong. You're
Mm-hmm.
just straight up wrong. I mean, you're paying a significantly lower price point. I will acknowledge that, but it's not 1-to-1 for me as far
Yeah.
as, yeah. Yeah, that's kind of tough. That's a tough question.
The higher tiers of PlayStation Plus are definitely at least the medium tier. I've said this before. Like if I were a new gamer, got my first PlayStation or my first PlayStation in 15 years, like it is an enormous value. Xbox Game Pass, I feel like, is um, Game Pass is some months it's really awesome, other months it's less awesome, but they're always adding stuff, and so is PlayStation to an extent. But I think if you're a new gamer, either of those services are awesome. Nintendo Online, you get it because you like Nintendo. You get it because you want to
Right.
play those old games. You get it to keep your cloud saves. It's not necessarily the best bargain, or it is a good bargain, but it's not necessarily the best service in my opinion. Dave Radic asks, do you think Nintendo or Sony will ever reciprocate and put something on Xbox? He says excluding MLB The Show, which I believe they were contractually forced to do so. But what do you think, Dave? Do you think they would ever, do the
No,
opposite?
and I gotta kind of highlight what Ed said in the chat here is you only port your games to larger install bases. I think the only reason that this could be being considered is because there are millions and millions of gamers who only have a PlayStation or only have a Nintendo console. And those are people who just simply cannot play, they cannot buy Microsoft's first party games. And if those are massive segments of the market that Microsoft is losing out on. There aren't nearly as many people who only have an Xbox who are missing out on PlayStation's games. So I don't think that the kind of value proposition works the other way for Sony or Nintendo. I think this is solely kind of an opportunity for Microsoft. And as for, the services crossing hardware lines, I don't think that will ever really be the case. I think these kind of services are going to live in the ecosystems that they're built in now. And that's the idea is to, I really liked Hi-Fi Rush on PlayStation, or I really liked Starfield. And I know all those other games exist kind of within this subscription where I don't have to buy them outright. I can just, subscribe and get access to all of them. So when Microsoft kind of hooks people in with that, then they've converted a customer. But I think those services stay where they are, and I don't think it's nearly as valuable for PlayStation or Nintendo to go the other way because there's just, I think PC is as far as it goes, and again, we've seen that with Sony, but I don't think there's any need for Sony to go any further than that.
Yeah. And honestly, it's almost like, would you expect to be able to watch something from Hulu on your Netflix? The only time
could you go into a Ford dealership and buy a Subaru, like it wouldn't make sense.
Exactly. And the only time that sort of thing happens when you get the Hulu, Peacock, ESPN is when they've bought each other or they're like in, so maybe some sort of deal could be struck, but it just seems like it would seem more likely that a movie that was exclusively made for Hulu at some point had a deal with Netflix to put it on its service than what I just mentioned. Like that seems more likely.
To go along with that car dealership thing, sometimes you'll go to a dealership and you'll see a car that was traded in. You go to a Subaru dealership and you see a Chevy sitting there, and you're like, "Why is this Chevy on your lot?" And they're like, "It was a trade-in. It's old." Well, that's kind of the same thing. They put Hi-Fi Rush on there. Hi-Fi Rush isn't old, but it's a year old. It didn't come out new on the service or on the system. So, you bring that trade in after it's got its mileage and got its initial money out of it, and you put it on a new service and you get another life. I think it's smart, and I don't really care that somebody's getting. I play pretty much everything on PC as it is, and I got to play my God of Wars and my Final Fantasies and my Horizons and stuff on PlayStation, like Jim intended it. But other than that, I don't really care where a game comes out. But it is funny to watch the squealing happen.
Dude, this isn't Jim Sony anymore. It's January.
He's not out yet, I don't think.
He's out in our hearts.
He's out
Was it
in
a long time
practicality.
ago to me? It was out when they announced Last of Us Remastered for me.
He had a goodbye party, so as far as I'm concerned, he's gone.
One last thing from Ed. He says Phil's win state is if you own a Game Pass compatible device, he will do what he can to advertise Game Pass to places Game Pass doesn't exist. That's true. Although I wonder, what is the average gamer? You go to work, you see this guy, he's like, hey, I really like video games. You're like, oh, cool. What do you like? And he's like, well, I play my PS3 and I play Madden every Saturday. With my buddies. It's like your average gamer, do they know who makes or publishes a game?
No.
That's why there's marketing deals. That's why Call of Duty had the marketing deal with PlayStation for forever, and it sold way more on PlayStation because people associate games with marketing. So you put, Hi-Fi Rush on PlayStation. I don't know what the percentage is, but the overwhelming majority of normal everyday gamers don't understand that. And I wonder if the way you do away with that is you put a splash screen up that says available on Game Pass or available on Xbox. But does PlayStation allow that to happen? I doubt it.
No.
Now with the success of Diablo Immortal and Microsoft now owning King, I think the next hill for Game Pass to kind of conquer is something on mobile, because that's billions.
Yeah,
billions of people like that.
Dude.
That will make the numbers that kind of they're missing out on in PlayStation and Nintendo just kind of blush, because it pales in comparison. And
when is the Apple Arcade competitor coming out? Game Pass Mobile.
Yeah, there will be one.
That's
Guaranteed.
what I'm saying.
Yep.
It has to be. If you can have access to all of these premium phone titles, in quotes,
Mm-hmm.
I can see it happening. And I don't know the numbers for Apple Arcade. I feel like, has anything ever been reported? I feel like
I'll look while you're talking.
I feel like if they were super duper high, they probably would have been reported, and I may have seen them, maybe not. But yeah, Dave, that's a fantastic point. Is I feel like that's something they could utilize, especially now with even Netflix, for fuck's sake, getting into the whole gaming sphere on phones with the GTA. But
I literally just Googled what was it? Apple Arcade subscriber number, and the first article that pops up, I can't speak to if it's correct. I can't speak for the outlet, but Niche Gamer says Apple Arcade reportedly most popular game subscription service with over 100 million users. That's of November 11th, 2022, so about a year and a half old. I'm not vetting that source or any of the details, but that's the first thing I see. So if it's 100 million, I imagine a lot of those too are like you can get the Apple One subscription, which comes with like the music. It doesn't mean they're all active users, but they're all somehow, some way paying for it. I think I might even subscribe to Apple Arcade, and I can't remember the last time I played an Apple Arcade game on my phone, but I do it because I have like Apple Music and the other stuff. So it's probably bigger than we think it is. Okay. Are we satisfied? Let's move on.
Yeah.
Number 2. Microsoft's Xbox Developer Direct on January 18th at 3 p.m. Eastern will feature highlights like Machine Games' Indiana Jones game, Obsidian's Avowed, Oxide Gary's Ara History Untold, and Ninja Theory's Senua's Saga, Hellblade 2. The Hellblade 2 Senua's Saga. I wrote that backwards. The broadcast won't include any Activision Blizzard titles, at least that we've been told. Machine Games will reveal details and a gameplay trailer for the Indiana Jones game. Obsidian will dive into Avowed's gameplay. Oxide Games will unveil Ara, and Ninja Theory will discuss Hellblade 2 rumors. Hellblade 2. Rumors about Sea of Thieves coming to PS5 are circulating, but it's uncertain if it'll be part of the Developer Direct, as well as Hi-Fi Rush, etc. Boys, is there anything you're excited to see from the Developer Direct, and any predictions for, last year we got Hi-Fi Rush as a shadow drop. Do we think we'll see another shadow drop? Brandon, we'll start with you.
Yeah. Honestly, I'm really excited to hear from Machine Games. I'm not the biggest Indiana Jones game. I'm not the biggest Indiana Jones fan, but I am a fan of Machine Games. So I'm really interested to see what they're going to be able to put out with such a legendary IP here. In addition to that, I mean, I'm like passingly interested in Hellblade 2. And I've been a fan of some of Ninja Theory stuff. So honestly, overall, I mean, this is kind of shaping up already. They're kind of setting expectations, and that's what we keep seeing with these, directs. I feel like they give you the vibe of what it's going to be like prior to you experiencing it, because everyone always has such high hopes if they're vague. So I feel like they're kind of coming out and just saying, this is going to be an interesting one. We're coming out and we're putting, we're showing you our cards, kind of. Not to say there isn't going to be some surprises, because sometimes there is. But no, I think this is good. And I don't think there is any chance in hell that any sort of PlayStation news will be at any sort of Xbox event. I would imagine that if this does ever happen, that it will just happen, and there won't need to be any sort of press. I can't imagine that in a showcase put on and paid for by Xbox, there will be any sort of mention of Sony officially. I feel like that could never be approved. So, yeah, it looks cool. I'm excited for it. I'm glad they announced it. Most excited about Indiana Jones, though. Absolutely.
Brandon, do you not think that that would be a chance to evangelize the masses that look how great Xbox is doing? They don't even need to just put it on their own consoles. They're putting it elsewhere. I'm playing devil's
I
advocate here, but
I think that nobody would think that.
yeah.
Any smart person wouldn't think that. I feel like it would be. You don't. How am I trying to say this? We can go back to the car analogy. Like, there aren't Chevys and Ford commercials, like, purposefully. And if it is, it's in a negative connotation. Like, hey, look
Yeah.
how much better this is. Like, I don't know. I can't imagine. It has to be a rule in advertising school that, like, you don't talk highly or, like, have any sort of, like, even middling connotation of your competitor, because any press is press, you know,
Like when the
good
guy
or
who played
bad.
Kevin Butler, the actor, when he was in a commercial with a Wii. It wasn't even a Wii commercial. He was just in a commercial with a Wii, and he got fired for being being Kevin Butler. So
Exactly. It's like, yeah, I just don't see that happening. And I guess, obviously always looking forward to what Obsidian's into as well. But
yeah. Dave, what about you? Anything particular you're hoping to see?
Um, this, as you mentioned, this was the direct from last year where they shadow dropped Hi-Fi Rush. This was rumored that this direct was happening. There was also a rumor that something was in fact going to be shadow dropped. So, I said it before. I love when studios, or sorry, Microsoft or publishers, whatever, shadow drop stuff like this, where they're like, oh, here's this really cool game and it's available right now. I just love that. So I hope we do get something. I'm also really excited to see what exactly Indiana Jones is. We haven't seen gameplay. I don't know if we even have had a description about what this game is going to be like, but I suspect it is coming out this year because I was doing a little bit of reading, and apparently this game was actually originally planned to come out in fiscal year 2022. I think Microsoft holds these directs in January to kind of posture for the rest of the year. Avowed is still planned for this year. I said what I said about Indiana Jones. We are pretty certain we're getting Hellblade this year, so I suspect everything we see is what's coming this year. And I think Sony is still a little bit light in 2024, so I think Microsoft has a really good opportunity here to get Game Pass subscribers excited for what kind of value they're going to deliver this year by giving us some hard and fast release dates for these games. So yeah, and what better way to do that than shadow drop something?
Yeah.
you really wouldn't want a soft and floppy release date, that's for sure.
Yeah. Hard and fast.
Soft and slow, I guess. Yeah.
Soldier Boy mentions, I didn't have this, that Pow World is coming to Game Pass. I think it's next week, day and date when it releases. Have you guys seen this game? It's being described as a monster collecting RPG, and a lot of people are describing it as, and maybe the developers, Pokemon with guns.
I saw that.
Yeah. So
That
that's coming to
sounds-
Game Pass. I think
Sounds
it's
lovely.
Yeah, it's coming out next week, so I don't know, the 19th. So after the direct, but should be interesting. And then Benji says, I think the shadow drop rumors are educated guesses. I would agree with that. If you shadow drop every year, is it really a shadow drop anymore? Yes. It is still a shadow drop because the game is unknown, but they're going to shadow drop something. It's like back in the what's his name, Steve Jobs days when he was like, one more thing. It's like that. You knew there was going to be one more thing. You just didn't know what it
Right.
was. It's still a
Right.
shadow drop kind of.
Sure.
Yeah. Moving on. Number 3. In December of 2023, so last month, Sony reported a record-breaking 123 million monthly active users on PlayStation, encompassing PS5, PS4, and potentially a few PS3 users, which we talked about a few weeks ago. There's still like 3 million monthly active PS3 users. This marked a significant increase from December of 2022, a year before, which had 112 million users. Boys, that's a lot of people in December booting up their PlayStation of whatever variety. Dave, what do you think caused that? Why?
Spider-Man, the holidays. I think PlayStation had a pretty strong year with Final Fantasy, again, Spider-Man at the end of the year. There was a lot of other big releases that weren't exclusive to PlayStation, but when you have a multi-platform game, a lot of people are going to buy it on PlayStation ultimately. So it was just a really, really, really good year for gaming, and really, really good years for gaming usually result in really good years for PlayStation specifically. So, yeah, good for PlayStation. I'd be curious to see what these numbers are next year because, as I just mentioned in the last story, PlayStation's release calendar seems to be a little bit light. And most of the attention that I can think of off the top of my head for games next year are Game Pass games. So we'll see how it goes. And I'm also curious. I would be curious to see what the PS Plus numbers were for last year, even just December, because anecdotally, it sounds like people aren't terribly happy with the service and where it is right now. I guess you could say it's still in its infancy, but I don't know. I suspect a lot of people are at the essential level, but in terms of, people being at the mid tier and the high tier, I don't know. I wonder if that's as rosy as a picture as the active users, but in any case, a good year for Sony again.
Brandon, Warzone 3 and Fortnite were both pretty big in December. They're always pretty big, but they were significantly bigger in December, it feels like. Do I think that maybe had something to do with the higher PlayStation numbers?
No, absolutely. I feel like it very much is a holiday thing. Not to say that all of those were picked up at the very end for the holidays, but no, I feel like Dave said it better than I could, honestly. I mean, it was a big year for Sony and Fortnite. I mean, we were looking at the numbers for Fortnite. It's just not that everyone's playing on PlayStation. I know that, but there's a lot of big things. It was a huge year for games in general, and I'm not surprised to see that by the end of the year, people hadn't picked up something at the beginning of the year or towards the end of the year, maybe not even the holiday season. So, this is good. And I'm not really surprised. It really is the biggest of the two ecosystems. So, yeah, not surprising here.
Gamers are, I guess you could say, they're rising up.
Yeah, they've been rising up for many years now, and they're continuing to rise. We are strong.
Number 4, NVIDIA has unveiled the RTX 40 Super Series during CES 2024, a mid-gen refresh of the GeForce RTX 40 Series desktop series graphics cards. The series includes the RTX 4070, the 4070 Ti, and the 4080 Supers of those, offering more shader and ray tracing cores along with Tensor AI cores for enhanced graphics features. Despite the improvements, the prices are either the same or slightly cheaper than the original 40 series. The original 4070 Super, priced at $599.99, is tailored for optimal 1440p gaming. The RTX 4070 Ti Super, priced at $800, boasts enhanced performance and 16 gigs of video memory. The 4K-ready RTX 4080 Super, priced at $1,000, offers increased cores and a minor boost in clock speed, launching on January 31st. These are all launching towards the end of this month. I know, Dave, you're not that big of a PC gamer, but any thoughts here? Otherwise, we can hop over to Brandon.
Yeah, I mean, I read this story and I'm wondering, like, has the GPU market kind of cooled off finally following the COVID insanity? Because if it is, I might dip my toe in, just because I have this building disdain with subscription services, as you guys know, on PlayStation, Microsoft, and that doesn't really exist to the same extent on PC. And you guys are always playing on PC, and I want to play more with you guys.
Yeah.
So I'm actually considering, maybe upgrading my PC. So I hope this means that prices are coming down and these things are a little bit more available.
Yeah, the market has definitely cooled off since the period of time you're talking about. Certain things are still inflated, and I think, you look at a 4090 or something, I still think they're overpriced. But frankly, this new line is well priced for the position they're in. Brandon, your thoughts, if any?
Yeah, I mean, if you can get it for retail, that's definitely a good price. But yeah, I don't know. I feel like these cards keep coming out quicker and quicker. I feel like we keep getting iterations faster and faster, and it is kind of hard to keep up as someone who's new in the PC space. Now, I'm certainly not going to be going out and purchasing something new, but I'm glad to see it. I hope that my card doesn't get outpaced too quickly. I feel like I'll be set for a good while. But yeah, if you can get a card at retail, that's phenomenal. And I think that the whole crash of crypto kind of, you know, even things out a bit. Certainly, there was supply constraints, but that wasn't just because of the global issues going on. A lot of the market was kind of strongholded by crypto.
Yeah.
But now that we're kind of seeing that fall off, I'm hoping these cards keep going down. But I honestly think they've kind of reached a threshold where I wouldn't be surprised if this is roughly the medium price we continue to see for cards going forward. So yeah, I mean this is cool. I mean, I feel like I'm pretty much already set up for 1440p, so I really would have to make a pretty big investment to kind of take a step up almost. So yeah, this is good. And I guess, if you have something 30 series or, low 30s or lower, this would certainly be a massive, massive upgrade. But me sitting with my 3080, I'm going to kind of cool it for a while. Somebody in chat, Sailor brings up a good point, was going to buy the 4080 Super, but was worried it wouldn't run GTA once it hits PC. And I think that's a little bit in jest, but you never know with the way game development has went. Kind of the strides that we've seen in recent years. Things just keep getting more demanding, especially with the introduction of things like ray tracing. So, yeah, we'll see. This is good overall. Kind of wish they were cheaper than they are, but hey, that's just the price you pay for getting the latest and greatest. So,
I haven't fully decided. Oh, sorry.
No, I was going to say, and honestly, this is also good for people trying to get into like not the latest and greatest, because not always, but this could indicate a price drop for some of the original non-super 40 series cards, whether that be secondhand or otherwise. So
yeah, I'm thinking I'm probably going to grab a 4070 Ti Super because the rough frame of my computer, literally the case, I got in 2017. And it had like a 1060 in it at the time and 8 gig of RAM or something. I don't even remember now. But over time, I've, at this point, I've replaced different pieces of RAM. I've replaced the motherboard. I replaced the power supply, the graphics card. I've replaced like almost everything in the computer except for the computer, like the box itself. And everything is just mismatched. And my CPU is getting pretty old. And at this point, it's like I could get maybe one more generation of something, of some component if I chose to, out of my current motherboard. But past that, I can't. So I've been planning for a little while to build a new computer, especially because I'm doing a little more video stuff and everything for work. And my computer, it's the CPU, just is rough doing video, anything. It's really, really, really bad. So I'm probably gonna build a 4070 Ti base computer, but I haven't fully 100% decided that. I'll wait for some of the hands-on reviews if I can. So we'll see how it goes. Last little piece of news here. This won't be too long. Good news for players revisiting The Last of Us Part 2 on PS5. Naughty Dog has shared. I was going to bring this up earlier when Dave mentioned Jim Ryan being dead to him, but Naughty Dog has shared details on how the remastered upgrade will work for existing players. much less complicated than how the Ghost of Tsushima upgrade worked. For digital players, owning the base game and paying $10 on the PlayStation Store on January 19th is all that's required. If you have the PS4 disc, insert it into the PS5 to download the digital version. Also have to pay that $10. Save games will carry over to the remastered version. Adding to the positive news, I don't know what I was writing there, but it got cut off. Maybe that, I don't know. Either way, basically $10 to upgrade to it if you already own the game. If you want to buy it full outright, I'm sure it's full price. But I really wanted to talk about just, are you guys going to play The Last of Us 2 Remastered? And or, even if you're not planning on playing the base game, does the extra mode entice you at all? Dave, you already commented on the subject a little bit. Let's hear from you.
No.
Okay.
Your mind cannot comprehend how uninterested I am in playing this remaster. I think just out of spite, I'm going to play that, that shovelware Last of Us clear blatant ripoff that came out. I think I'm
I
just
don't
going
think
to
it's
buy.
out anymore.
He's gonna pirate it.
Find a way to revive it. I'm going to buy 10 copies of it just to spite this.
Yeah.
No.
Did you play part 2, Dave? I can't recall.
No, I did not.
You didn't play it at all. Okay.
I have
Brandon.
no problem with the game. I have
Sure.
a problem with the remaster.
I understand. Yeah.
I would argue that the only person that is super enticed by this sort of offer would be someone like you, has never played the game. But I respect it.
Yeah.
Nothing but respect here. I think this is a decent deal. I said it when they said that, they were coming out with this. If it's reasonably priced, it's good. I think that kind of the sticking point of this whole upgrade is that there is a new mode. I would have loved for this to have been a free upgrade like Valhalla. But it's Sony, and I didn't expect Valhalla to be free. And so I wouldn't expect this to be free. So yeah, this is good. I'm not going to dip back in, that's for sure. Even if there is a new mode, I think that I need more time away from this game to be able to come back. And it's such a difficult ask in a lot of ways. It's one of my favorite games of that generation. But it's not an easy game to play in a lot of ways. And even if there's a new mode, I'm not going to be hopping right back in. But it's good to have the option. When I do hop back in, I would love for there to be some, that much more of a reason for me to come back. And I think that that's really what it is. If you just have the game and you haven't played it, $10 isn't that much to upgrade. If you already have the game and you're going to wait to play it, or you really want to replay it, $10 isn't that big of an ask for, a better version of the game, or, a new mode in general. So I don't have a problem with it. I see why people do, though. I think it is kind of corny, but ultimately I really don't think it's that big of a deal. If they tried to repackage it and sell it for $60, I would be saying fuck you.
I mean, they are.
Well, if you don't own the game.
If you don't own the game, correct. Yeah. Yeah, I'm probably gonna play this. I said for $10 for a new mode. I'll spend $10 on a battle pass a lot of times on a game that I don't end up playing that long. So if the game comes out and the new mode is well received, I'll play it. I don't know that I'm ready to play part 2 again yet, or maybe ever. I don't really know. I'll probably play it before part 3 comes out, if that does in fact turn out to be true. And I'm sure it is. But at least for the extra mode, if it's going to be something that my friends are playing and it does well, if people like it, then $10 to play it, it's not really that big of a deal to me because I already own the base game. Before we get into what we've been playing, boys, we got something to resolve. Last week we did our New Year's resolutions for 2024. We said this week we were going to come back with some punishments to divvy out to each other. That if you don't complete your resolutions, you got to do one of these things. Brandon, your mic, okay, it just popped back on. I think you maybe unplugged it there for a second, but that's good now. I think the way we'll do this, we each should have come up with one punishment for each person, and we'll talk about them. And then I think we each had 3 resolutions. If you fail one resolution, you take one punishment. You get to pick from the 2 that you're given. If you fail 2 resolutions, you have to take both punishments. If you fail 3, you're kicked off the show
permanently.
Yeah, the last one maybe isn't going to hold, but the other 2, I think, will. Dave, why don't we go ahead and we'll dish out our you and I can dish out our punishments for Brandon, our first punishments.
Okay, so I have one for Brandon. I have one for you.
Yeah, that's good.
Okay.
Yeah.
So my punishment for Brandon is he has to
You gotta say it, man. Come on. How bad is it?
he has to take an edible and stream Scorn.
Take
Does
an
that break?
edible.
Does that break TOS?
We don't have to
It's
take the
medical,
edible on
right?
stream.
Well, I know, but well, it could still break TOS. But okay, dude, you that is torture. That game is hell, and I'm not talking about the visual aesthetic. I'm not talking about the visual aesthetic. 2 milligrams. That's all I take. It's still suffering, even if I do 2 milligrams.
Brandon, do you accept the punishment for failing one of your resolutions?
See, here's no. Let me hear the other punishment, and then well, I'm gonna have to pick one if I.
The other one I had for you was you had to stream near Automata for 3 hours.
No, wait.
See, I kind of like
edible
that.
Back off,
required.
Dave.
I
Back off.
I don't. You know, I have played that game more than once, so I don't like. Oh God.
Now
Fine.
here's the way I think we're going to order things: is unless two people agree that the punishment is too severe. Like if Dave suggested that and you think it's too severe and I agree, then we can rehash it. But otherwise, I think you have to take the punishment. Now you're going to get 2 punishments. You get to pick which one for your first failed resolution, and then the other one is for your second failed resolution. You get to pick the order they're in at least. The solution here, if you don't like the punishments, is just not to fail your resolutions.
Right. Is
Yeah.
it too harsh, Ben?
I don't think it's too harsh.
Okay, fine.
I think you
Fine.
taking an edible and playing Scorn is
Wait. Playing Scorn or finishing Scorn? This is a
streaming specifically. Dave said
one session of streaming Scorn.
Yeah, it
Dave
has to
can
be.
set the parameters.
It has to be 2 hours.
2 hours. I don't even think I've streamed once for 2 hours. Okay.
What do you normally
That's
stream
nothing.
for? An hour? Hour and a half?
Yeah, I usually stream for between an hour and 2 hours, like hour
Okay.
30, hour 45.
Sure.
Brandon,
hour and a half then is what we'll set it.
You're
at.
about to already fail one of your resolutions. You haven't streamed at all this month.
I did. Nobody showed up.
Oh, I didn't know. You
I
didn't tell
didn't-
anybody.
I didn't announce it, and it's okay. I don't feel like I need to announce it every time. I was just hanging out and playing BioShock. That's
okay.
all.
All right.
That's all. That's all.
Fair.
I already did stream, and I notated it. I have a notes app that says streaming and which days I've done it.
Good for you.
Okay. Well, okay. So Brandon, I think you're stuck with that one. Taking edible
Perfect.
and stream Scorn for 2 hours.
Perfect.
That's pretty minor in my opinion. 2 hours of a punishment for failing a whole year resolution. Because mine's a little more severe, Brandon.
You ain't seen nothing yet, buddy.
You got to start near Automata from the beginning and
Okay.
play through A, B, C, D, and E.
Wow.
Okay. Okay.
That's about 30 hours. It's not that bad.
Okay. Okay. You're just
These are
you've
rough.
you've aroused Ed in chat. Between Dave saying he wants to play and my punishment potentially.
I
I'm
didn't
not
say you
gonna-
had the string near though. I'm not going to be that harsh. We're just going to do the honor system here.
that's a
Yes,
complete-
Ed. Ed says that's a complete playthrough. My God, Ben. It's a complete playthrough because Brandon claims, I've played enough to beat the game. I've played it like 2 or 3 times. No, you're going to beat the game.
No.
gonna beat the
I've
game.
played 3 endings. I roll back the tape. I've never claimed enough. I've always said I've played what seems to be a reasonable enough time for me to know whether I like
You've
the
played
game.
3 endings. You're like less than several hours away from playing through E. Now but you have to start it from the beginning. That's the
That's
thing.
fine. I
Okay.
could do it. That actually doesn't seem that difficult. If I was close. The
Okay.
only good part about that game is the music.
Shut up.
And the music's amazing. The music's 10 out of 10. I will give it its dues. Music 10 out of 10.
Brandon, your punishment for Dave.
All right, so this I told you that they were harsh, and let me preface why they're harsh is because you two picked some of the most lily-livered resolutions of all time. One of mine is a minimum of 50 to 60 hours. One of my challenges.
Yeah, one
Okay,
of your resolutions.
Beating Red Dead Redemption 2. Okay.
Listen, these are resolutions you set for yourself. Okay, I don't want to hear.
Oh, I know, but I'm trying to challenge myself. I'm sorry, boys. I couldn't pick them for you. So I made my punishments harsh with the intent of knowing that both of you picked ones in my perception, maybe not the audience's perception, are easier than mine. And so I was hoping that maybe you'd throw me a motherfucking bone since I decided that I was going to 100% a game on Steam and that I was going to play Red Dead Redemption 2 through the story.
You think
Anyway.
playing more games with my children is easy, Brandon?
I'm not saying it's easy, but what I'm saying is
playing
that
games with my wife is easy.
what I'm saying is that could be 10 hours, could be more than last year. That could be
it's way more than that. Yeah, but yeah.
Well,
okay. Anyway, go ahead. Go ahead.
All right. Dave has to play a BR of his choosing. And I'm agreeing with this from last week because I like the premise. And either has to get 2 solo wins this year or place top 5 15 times.
15 times?
Yeah, dude. Okay. No. Listen to the reasoning.
2 solo wins or place top 5 15 times.
Or listen to the reasoning, though, because you can literally just hide in a bush and get top 5. So that's why I made it 15 times, because there still has to be punishment to hiding in a bush. Originally I had 25 times, and I said that's too much.
Are the servers still on for Battlefield Firestorm?
That I do not know.
Dave, how do you feel about this punishment?
Just don't fail, sucks, man. And then the punishment's nothing, dude. Just don't fail. It's easy.
Okay, that's rough, but I mean, Brandon he makes a valid point. Like, we really shouldn't fail ours.
Yeah,
but yeah,
that's why I made them harsh. The only reason I don't like to punish my boys.
Also, fuck you, man. Here we are trying to accomplish new things that validate our own sense of self-worth, and here you are saying it's not enough.
Dave, it's because I believe in you.
Yeah, fair enough.
I'm punishing you because I believe you can do it.
What BR would I choose? Okay.
Any.
Dave, mine is similar but different. Mine was that you had to play Fortnite and get to at least Battle Pass level 25. Now, I'm not saying you have to purchase the Battle Pass, because you can still get to level 25 without purchasing it. But you have to play to level 25 minimum. Originally, I thought 50, but I thought that's like an actual commitment. But I was trying to do something that would line up with Brandon's near playthrough. And I think that Fortnite getting you to level 20, 25, I mean, is about 25, 30 hours probably for somebody who's not like super duper experienced. And I'm specifying not just Fortnite Battle Royale. So you can even combine, if you fail 2 resolutions, you can combine these punishments, honestly.
He could. And literally, these might make us resent each other by next year. The show might be over January 1 of 2025 after this is done, dude.
And Dave, you're welcome to play with other people. You're welcome to play with me and Brandon. You're welcome, whatever. You can play your 25 Battle Pass levels of Fortnite in any way you choose. But
what if Fortnite isn't around in 2025? That game's on life support, man.
If Fortnite isn't around in 2025, this show won't be either, probably. Because if Fortnite can't make it, we're not making it.
Yeah.
Also, just to kind of caveat, can't buy the levels.
No.
Yeah, right. I'm not gonna choose any of this, but yeah, that's fine. I think that's fitting for me. I it's flattering because you guys know me. I'm flattered to hear these punishments, because they are punishing for me. But yeah, okay.
Now
this is the part of the show where we end and don't talk about the other punishments.
Oh hell no! This shit ain't nearly done, brother.
Okay, Brandon, go ahead. What's your punishment for me?
So mine are a bit of a cop-out because I couldn't really think of anything, and some of the suggestions last week were so good that I couldn't pass up on them. And Ben had suggested that he play Life is Strange 1, and I said, that's a great idea, but he should also have to play Life is Strange 2.
Okay. It's pretty harsh, but I could do it.
It is less time. You could play Life is Strange 4 times in the times it takes me to play Red Dead.
Yeah, that's
maybe
fair.
Even 5.
Is that true? I actually have no idea how long they are.
I think it's like I looked it up today. I think it's like 15 hours or something like that.
For each one?
For one, at least.
Yeah, okay. All right. I'll do it. That's fine. That's a good punishment. I'll just have to think every time my kids are annoying me about playing games. If I don't play games with you guys, I have to play Life is Strange.
A punishment worse than death.
Dave.
Okay, so mine was in a similar vein, and I don't know how this can work, but mine was Ben has to make and post on YouTube a video essay on the Life is Strange series.
Dude, you're gonna be able to play 1 and 2. So 15-minute minimum retrospective.
So Dave, say your punishment again.
Ben has to make and post on YouTube a video essay on the Life is Strange series. So I guess if you failed one resolution, then obviously it would be Brandon's. And then if you failed a second, then you'd have to take it a step forward and actually not only play the games in the dark, but you'd also have to talk about them and post it.
When you say Life is Strange series, I need to get some specificity there. Are you talking about what games are you talking about in that series?
Isn't it Life is Strange 2, and True Colors?
I don't know. So
I quickly Googled it before we started. And I know there's like the Captain Spirit or something.
Captain Underpants or something, yeah.
Yeah. Okay, you're including that one.
Well, you don't have to play them. You have to make a video essay on the series.
Well, how would I make? Okay, that's fine.
You could just talk about them.
Figure it out. It's your essay.
So basically, if it's in the Life is Strange, well, I'll be honest with it. If it's in the Life is Strange series, I'll have to talk about it in the video essay.
What an awful way to start 2025.
Yeah,
for your YouTube channel.
There is no way in hell I'm not doing my resolutions this year. Just out of sheer willpower, I refuse. I'll do anything. I should have made my resolutions harder, honestly.
Hold up, hold up. What I'm calling a little tiny bit of bullshit, and I'm gonna say it again. I made my resolutions. It's my fault, okay? But you both can complete both of your failures at the same time, almost.
Mm-hmm.
I have 2 barrels looking down my throat.
Brandon, one of your punishments is a 2-hour punishment, and you get to be high while you're doing it. That doesn't sound that bad to me.
That sounds, dude, have you played the game? That sounds like nightmare fuel.
I have seen the things that are in your brain, Brandon. I've gotten a glimpse, and scorn on edibles does not sound that far off.
Fair. All right. Fair.
I have watched some of the things you've asked me to watch. Yeah, I mean, okay, maybe playing near.
He's going to be washing his hands the whole time he's streaming,
God, dude.
But scoring for 2 hours, that's not that bad. And you're going to be streaming. You'll have other people to talk to, even if you're blasted out of your mind. Fine.
Lovely. Lovely, boys. I love the agony. I love it.
Are we satisfied?
I don't think any of us are going to fail any of these this year.
Let's get a full rundown of the resolutions and punishments for Poot. I have the resolutions here. Dave's are to play and complete Nier Automata, to continue to build his physical collection, and he put a specificity of 5 games, GameCube and Switch, and they have to be games that he would actually like to play, and to play more games with his wife. Brandon's are to beat either Red Dead 2 or GTA 5, starting from the beginning. Of course, he'd already started Red Dead, wasn't even through the first mission. We'll allow that. That's fine. Streamed 3 times a month for the whole year, not averaging. So 3 times per. That means Brandon could fail his resolution as soon as February 1. Just putting that out there. It doesn't count either if he streams for an hour, his stream goes down and it pops back up. That doesn't count. Okay.
There's no time frame. I didn't specify a time frame. I'm just gonna say that. Okay.
You said 3 times a month.
We're gonna hold you to it though. You're gonna be playing Nier twice if you try to cheese this. All right.
Okay.
And he wants to 100% a game on Steam. The game has to be a game that is longer than 5 hours, according to how long to beat. We'll put that out there. My resolutions are play and beat Mass Effect, the first one. I'm going to play the remastered one. Say no more to people who want me to play games when I don't want to play. Now, Brandon called me the other night and was like, "Hey, you want to play a game?" And I was like, "Yeah, sure." And he's like, "You're supposed to say no, idiot." And I was like, No. My resolution was I have a few friends that I like to play Sea of Thieves with. I have Brandon and Justin that I play games with quite often. If Dave wanted to play a game, I'd be happy to play with him. But there's a lot of people who are just like who I don't really want. There's just one random guy that I've only ever played with a couple times on Sea of Thieves, and he messages me all the time, and I'll hop in for like half an hour and play with him. I don't want to do that kind of stuff. I don't want to play when I don't want to play. That's what saying no more means.
Is that Brandon's kid from Lethal Company, do you think?
It's not. No, I don't think so. This is a full ass grown man. And then to play games with my kids more. And I have that somewhat quantified in my mind, but not in full. The punishments. Punishment for Brandon from Dave. Take an edible and stream Scorn for 2 hours. Punishment for Brandon from Ben. Play Near through ending E. Punishment for Dave from Brandon. Play a BR of his choosing, and he has to get at least 2 solo wins or place in the top 5 15 times. Brandon, does it have to be solo wins? Because that means Dave has to play alone. I'm not saying that's unreasonable. I'm just asking to clarify.
I will say that. See, because 2 seems like a fun number. It seems like, oh, that's only 2, right? Like I can do that.
That's bot lobbies, honestly.
It literally his first Fortnite game ever could be an entire bot lobby. That happens sometimes.
Well, it might have been, but he died to the storm in his first game ever.
So all I'm saying, keep it. No. I'm
okay.
Keeping it.
All right. We're keeping it. Punishment for Dave from Ben. Play Fortnite BR through level 25 of the Battle Pass. He does not have to purchase it. Punishment for Ben from Brandon. Play Life is Strange 1 and 2 in their entirety. Punishment for Dave, or punishment for Ben from Dave. Make and post a YouTube video essay on the Life is Strange series, including all of the games.
God,
Ben, how can you square the second resolution and the third resolution? The playing games with kids and saying no more. I don't know. It works though. It works. I'm talking about randos that I don't really want to play with that I play with anyway. Like you, Ed. I'm just kidding.
we're gonna do the honor system here to some of these that are a little bit more flubby. You know?
It's just, and honestly, like to be cool, if Brandon came to me and was like, "Hey, I got 100% on Red Dead 2 on Steam," I'd be like, "Cool, I believe you." I'm not gonna go check. With that said, somebody in the audience should, because I think you're friends with some of our audience members.
It's never happening on Red Dead 2. Sorry.
No. All right, let's move on really quickly. We're running a little long here. Let's talk about what we've been playing. Brandon, we'll go with you first.
Yeah, so I kind of like buckshot video games this week. I kind of got a good smattering, so I'm just kind of fire them off here. I've been playing Left 4 Dead 1 and 2, which are really great. I started playing Left 4 Dead 1 and realized that all of the maps from Left 4 Dead 1 are also in Left 4 Dead 2. So I've been kind of going back and forth because some of my friends don't have the second one. So BioShock Remastered, playing it again and again and again. I played this game a million times. It probably is my favorite game of all time, and I think I could say that confidently now. It's a pleasure, an absolute pleasure to play on PC on mouse and keyboard. Just enamored with this game. Truly love it to death. As well as Red Dead 2. I got through the first chapter the other night. The beginning is slow as fuck. Holy fuck. This game is great, but the beginning sucks. And I've been playing Downwell, which is a really awesome game that I first picked up on PlayStation. If you don't know Downwell, it's published by Devolver Digital. It's a little indie darling where you just fall down a well infinitely, and I could put it on if I have about 3 minutes to do something, and no more. And lastly, but certainly not least, I did start my playthrough of Halo 3. I'm about halfway through it. I will say that as I played one after the other, the story is fully intriguing me, but the gameplay is old. I'm tired of going here, shooting this, going here, shooting this, going here, shooting this. But I love the story. It's really great, and I'm not going to take anything away from it because games have developed much further, most games, than the format that was set back then. So love the story, love it to death, looks great on PC, and hope to be a little bit more focused and hone in my video games next week. I want Red Dead to be my one of my only 1 or 2 games I'm playing next week because I am locking into these resolutions, especially after the punishments have been dealt. That's it. That is all I've been playing this week.
Dave, you're up.
I've mostly been playing Valheim this week. I picked
Dave,
this up. Yeah.
you didn't even hit me up.
No, yeah. Sorry, buddy.
Sorry.
I bought this about 2-3 weeks ago, and I hadn't booted it up, and somebody in Discord was like, "What are we playing this weekend?" And I kind of committed to finally starting Valheim. So I played Valheim about a year ago on Series S on Game Pass, and so I'm starting it again over. And I gotta say, Brandon, you just kind of mentioned it, the pleasure of playing on mouse and keyboard. This game feels completely different on mouse and keyboard. There's a lot of building and inventory management that takes place with Valheim, and doing that on mouse and keyboard I'm not saying anything groundbreaking, but I have to note that it just feels like such a better game to play than awkwardly scrolling through menus on a controller. It also seems to perform and look better on PC, and I don't have a great PC by any stretch of the imagination, but I'm noticing that it looks, feels, and sounds better than it did on Series S. In terms of graphics, again, like for this being like a lo-fi game, that's the only way I can kind of put it. It looks amazing. Like you stand there and look at some of like the vistas and like the sunset coming over the trees and stuff, and it's weird how good such a minimalist game can look at times. And I guess less is more sometimes. So yeah, I'm really enjoying Valheim. I've gotten further this playthrough so far than I did on Series S. I just beat the first boss, and my brain is starting to work on like building an actual proper house. I've seen some of the stuff people have built online and some of the things that you get in public servers, and it's I'm not really into base building ever, and I'm really finding myself into this. So yeah, I also kind of want to note that I love when games do level up your skill by doing that skill. I think we should have more of that. I think about like Skyrim and what's the Xbox exclusive
Redfall.
Crackdown did that too. Redfall. Yeah, if you want to jump higher, just keep jumping, and then and Valheim does this, and obviously it's a really simple game, so I really like that in games. So yeah, having a good time with Valheim. I do wish the looting was a little bit better. I find like I miss stuff quite often, like little pieces just they don't really stand out well amongst foliage and all that. So and I do wish there was more music in the game. Like I find the day theme just kind of plays over. I don't know if when you go to different biomes or different sections of the map that it changes, but I'm falling asleep hearing the theme in my head. But yeah, I'm gonna stick with Valheim for quite a while. So yeah.
Yeah. I agree very much, Dave, about the fact that you can build much better with mouse and keyboard. Like I am very much in the base building kind of mode, and it's just so good on mouse and keyboard specifically. And then the piece you mentioned about like starting to think about building a proper like house and everything, when you really like can visualize what your base should look like that moment in any survival crafting game is a lot of fun. Also, I think the game obviously is going to run better on PC than it does on Series S, because I even notice it takes a kind of a toll on my. It's like you said, it's such a simple looking game, but it uses up quite a bit of system resources. But I think there's also been like it's still technically like I don't know if it's an early access, but like technically not fully out, I guess. So I think that they've done some improvements to that as well. But yeah, it runs great. It looks beautiful. So I'm glad you're enjoying it. Did you play anything else this week?
I played a little bit more Dredge, but nothing new to say there. But yeah, Ben, let's play Valheim together sometime.
Okay. Week. Yeah, absolutely.
You can say no.
But I want to play with you, Dave.
Okay.
See, that's the distinction. For me, I've played a little more of the Hunter Call of the Wild. Again, just a super chill game to get in and vibe with. I thought at first it was like a super immersive, very realistic shooter, and it can be if you play it that way. And I say shooter, I mean hunting simulator. It's also very much the better gun makes you have more fun kind of game. It literally is, pay to have fun, as Brandon put it one time. The more DLCs you buy for the game, the more guns you get, the longer you play, the better equipment you get, whatever. Does make the game way more fun. But it also kind of takes the fun out of it because it's like so easy to just mow down everything in your path. So I'm enjoying it. It's very much a game where if I don't really want to play something and I just want to hang out with people, I can hop in and we can just talk about whatever and play that game. I don't have to think about what's going on other than the fact that like, oh, there's a deer over there I need to shoot. There's a bear charging me, etc. So I might give it a little break now, but I'm very much enjoying it. Still, it's easily one of the more vibey games, just hang out and chill kind of games that I've played this year. And then the other thing I'm doing is playing Final Fantasy VII Remake. I'm playing on the PS5 version. I'm going to be playing Intergrade 2. I realized, so I've talked about it before, but Final Fantasy VII, the original, I have played 5 to 7 times. I haven't played it in about 10 or 12 years. But one of my favorite games growing up as a young adult, I guess you could say, and as a kid and young adult, I guess. Very much love that game. When the remake came out, I was super excited, but I played probably 10 hours of it, and I don't really know. It was a combination of like, I think something else came out, and it just wasn't vibing with me. Not because it wasn't good, because it was phenomenal, but I just had such a hard time with realizing, with equating some of the things that were happening in the remake to the things that happened in the original. And just, I was like, that shouldn't be there. That shouldn't look like this. And just trying to get out of that own funk in my mind, I just couldn't do it. And I put it down saying I was going to come back, and I never did. Well, now Rebirth is coming out next month. The PlayStation 5 version is out. Intergrade's out. They've been out for a while. And I was like, you know what? I need to play this game again. I need to finally finish it. So I'm already way further than I was in my first playthrough. Definitely going to finish it this time. Probably finish it this week for sure. So very much enjoying that. I'll have more to say about that in the coming weeks, of course. But Final Fantasy VII, one of the all-time great Final Fantasy games. And the remake's phenomenal. It just didn't click the first time for some reason. And now it's really, I'm enjoying it. And it just, man, it's so serious in some parts. And then it's just so incredibly goofy in other parts. And it's just, I just look at it and I'm like, Japanese game. This is great for the same reasons it's terrible. And I really like that. And I like Final Fantasy games. I played the first 7, and then I've played 16, and I've played little pieces of other ones, but never played all those in the middle there. I think I played 8 as well. And so I need to just go back and play some more of those over time. And some people are trying to get me to play Final Fantasy 14, the MMO. I gotta resist. I want to, especially because so much of it's free and you can hop in without a subscription worry. But I just know my personality. I'm gonna get sucked in, and I'm probably gonna install it tonight if I'm being real with myself. Ed says, was it Doom Eternal? I don't remember, Ed, what it was. I don't remember at all what it was that took me away. It was in large part because I just couldn't get into it because I was so looking forward to the Final Fantasy VII I knew, and even though it is a very good remake, it's so different at the same time. So count Final Fantasy 14 toward your resolution, which that I'll say no. But what if I want to say yes? See, that's the difference. If I want to do it, saying no doesn't mean say no to things I want to do. You guys gotta get this. It means not being the nice guy and saying yes just because I feel bad. And I'm bad at that. I know I come off as this, mean guy, but honestly, I'm a squishy boy at heart, and I have a hard time saying no to things I don't want to do. Which is why this is the first time in my life I've ever only had one job, and even now I don't really only have one job. But I've always, Anyway, Ben, I'm trying to help you get around the rules. We'll see. I'm a sucker for MMOs, but in fairness, I play MMOs for like 20 to 100 hours and then never play them again. So we'll see. Boys, that's all we got. That's all we got for tonight. Thanks for hanging out. Appreciate everybody being here. Don't forget, we're live on YouTube every week at 7 p.m. Eastern on Tuesdays, as well as on audio feeds on Wednesdays for patrons and Thursdays for the free feeds listeners. We appreciate you guys being here. We're going to come up with a title and get out of here. We'll see you next time. All right, boys. 2025, anytime you would have spent on Sea of Thieves is to be spent on Final Fantasy 14 until all expansions are complete. Is that a punishment? Or the funny thing is right now I'm spending like 3 hours a week on Sea of Thieves. So that would take me like years. Can't wait to watch this in 26 parts on TikTok. I've never posted the show to TikTok that I know of. Maybe in the old days. Boys, what's a good name for the show?
We talked about the Xbox stuff a lot. We could call it Multiplatform Rush.
Okay.
Yeah, that's good.
Works for me. All right. You guys ready to get out of here?
Yeah.
Say screw the nerds in chat.
That's right.
Thanks, guys, for hanging out. We appreciate it. Brandon, need that PSN or Xbox Live or wherever you played Automata. I think he has played 3 endings, Ed. I think he has
3 endings.
I think he's played 3 endings. He just the coward.
You can peep the trophies. I allow you.
Oh shit! I forgot. I had a PSA. I can put it in Discord, but I'll say it now. PlayStation Stars reward points expire 24 months after you earn them. So I just learned that this week. So if you have points, go use them.
That's fucking whack, bro.
Yeah.
Ed,
$10 in my wallet.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Oh wait, can you redeem them to your wallet and then use them later?
You can use the wallet funds later, but the points expire. So you want to, and they expire 2 years after you earn them. So there's a good chance that they could expire soon.
How many points do I need to get $10?
For me, it was 2,400 points.
Oh, okay. I don't know how many points I have because I don't buy that much digitally.
Yeah, so 5,000 points to redeem $20. It says.
Let's see here. I have 100 points, so my points expiring wouldn't be that big of a deal.
I got $5 twice, Ed. That's what I meant there.
Shut the hell up, Ed. Actually, Dave. Ed says if he has 3 endings, he literally has 2 hours left. Yes, but that's not the point, Ed. The point is if he doesn't, if he has to take that punishment, he has to start from the beginning and play through NE.
Easy.
It doesn't matter how many hours he has left. He has to start over.
Easy. And I'm not playing on Xbox, so no one will know how much time there's going to be no skirt. Easy. I got this in the bag, boys. I might fail my shit on purpose. And I'm going to play Call of Duty. Fuck it.
You're going to play Gollum then?
Fuck it. Easy. I don't give a fuck.
All right. Thanks, everybody. We will see you next week.